In this part of our Number Guess app project, we're going to add some code that will create a text field that will show up over here on our screen so that our users know where to enter their number guess. We'll also add some code that will do a little bit of formatting on that text field to make it look more like a little box on the screen. Let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Let's close up our app preview and let's go to line 50, right behind that closing curly brace on line 50. Go ahead and tap return twice. We're going to leave a blank line to help us when we're visually scanning through our app. Those blank lines make it easier for us to see the different parts of the app much more quickly. On line 52, let's add a comment. So type 2 backslashes to start that comment and a space. This next chunk of code is going to be the text field for the user to enter their guess. Then go ahead and tap return at the end of that comment. Type text field with a capital T and a capital F. When you see that popping up on your code snippets, you can go ahead and tap return to add that code. You'll see some error messages starting to pop up on your screen. That's okay. They will resolve themselves in a minute here. Behind text field, go ahead and add a parentheses. That will give you a closing parenthesis. Inside of those parentheses, we're going to add a string, some text that's going to show up inside that text field or that box on the screen to make sure that our user knows what they should put in that text field. So let's type a quotation mark. That'll give us a closing quotation mark. And then inside that, we're going to type our string, the text that we want to show up. So let's put a message in here. Type a number between 1 and 20. All right, next we are going to tap right behind those quotation marks, but still inside of our parentheses. We're going to put a comma in there and a space, and then we're going to type text with a lowercase t. When you see that popping up on your code snippets, you can go ahead and tap return. So we're going to enter our number as text, just so that we can make sure that it's an actual number and not an invalid input. So we're going to bind or hold this input, this text, until we have a chance to check that out. All right, so what we want to bind is our user's guess. And we're going to start that with a $sign because we're binding it. We're holding it to make sure it doesn't crash our app. And then we're going to put our variable. What's being entered, that's the user guess. You'll see that pop up on your code snippets. Go ahead and tap return there. Then tap behind the closing parentheses and go ahead and tap return to get to the next line. Let's add another comment. So start with 2 backslashes and a space. This next chunk of code makes the number keypad pop up. Then you can go ahead and tap return at the end of that comment. And our code to make the number keypad pop up, we're going to start with a period, and then we're going to start typing in keyboard. It's going to give us keyboard type with type in parentheses. That's exactly what we want. So go ahead and tap return when you see that on your code snippets. And we're going to replace default with dot or period number pad. So period number pad, that's going to pop up on our code snippets. Again, go ahead and tap return on that. That will add that code in for you. So this code, instead of having this regular default keyboard pop up, is going to bring up the number keypad with the number keypads if you're on an iPad. If you're running your app on the phone, then you're just going to get the number buttons, the 1 through 9 and the 0 key, right? But on the iPad, this is called the number pad. So this code is going to make this keyboard pop up because, again, we want our user to be typing in a number between 1 and 20. Go ahead and tap behind the closing parentheses on line 55 and tap return. On line 56, let's put another comment, so 2 backslashes and a space. This next chunk of code is formatting for the text field box. We're going to make it look more like a text field. Let's see what it looks like right now. Go ahead and tap your app preview button. And you can see there on the screen, we've got this place now. It says type a number between 1 and 20. It doesn't really look like a box or a text field yet. All right, so we're going to do some formatting to take care of that right now. Go ahead and close your app preview screen back up. And at the end of line 56, after your comment, go ahead and tap return. On that next line, start with a period, and we're going to type text field style with a lowercase t, and then a capital F. You should see that popping up on your code snippets, text field style with style inside of the parentheses. When you see that pop up on your code snippets, go ahead and tap return to add that code in. All right. Now we're going to replace that code inside of our parentheses, text field style. We're going to tell Swift what style we want exactly. So while that's highlighted in blue, we're going to start typing rounded border text field style with a capital R. And Swift knows what we probably want. So it is going to bring that up on our code snippets, rounded border text field style. When you see that pop up, you can go ahead and tap return on that code. We'll see some error messages start to pop up. It's okay. Those will take care of themselves here shortly. All right, behind rounded border text field style, we want some additional parentheses in there. So let's add in a parenthesis. That's going to give us a closing parenthesis. And now our error messages are going to go away. Go ahead and tap behind that last closing parenthesis on line 57 and tap return. And let's add a little bit of padding here to add a little bit of extra space. So as you start typing period padding, that'll pop up on your code snippets. You can go ahead and tap return on that. And we're just going to leave that space inside of our parentheses blank for right now. And we're just going to go with the default amount of padding space. Let's go ahead and take a look at our app preview. All right, awesome. Now we have this text field box. It looks more like a box now. It has this light gray border around it. It also has text inside of it. This light gray text telling our user to type a number between 1 and 20. Awesome. That looks a lot more like an actual text field now, or a place to type a number. You can also tap inside of that box and you can go ahead and type a number in there. Maybe I'll pick 15. That might be my user's guess. All right. All right, let's keep going with our code then. So let's go ahead and close that app preview. And let's tap behind line 58 again and tap return. On line 59, let's add a comment. All right, so we've created this text field box. We've done a little formatting to add that light gray border and some padding to create a little space around that text field to pull it in a little bit from the edges so that it looks more like a box. It also pops up the number keypad when our user taps into that box so that they can enter a number. Now our next chunk of code is going to disable our user's ability to put numbers into that box if the game is over. We don't want them to keep typing in numbers if the game is over. So our comment, this next chunk of code is going to disable input if the game is over. And we're going to remind ourselves that means game over, our variable is going to be true at that point. If the game is over, the value we're going to store is going to be true. Let's go ahead and tap return at the end of that line. And go ahead and type a period and then start typing in disabled you'll see some code pop up on the code snippets disabled inside of parentheses. That is the code we're looking for. Go ahead and tap return to add that. And you'll notice that now inside parentheses, it says true, right? Because we want our keyboard, our number pad, the ability to type inside of that box to be true. We want it to be disabled so that our user's no longer able to type in there. Now we don't want this to be disabled every time that our user types something in, right? Only when our game is over do we want it to be disabled. So we're going to replace true with our variable that's holding the value of whether our game is active or if it's over, it's inactive. So we're going to replace true with that variable, game over. As you start typing that in, you'll see on the code snippets, game over will pop up. Because that's one of our variables, go ahead and tap return. So now we don't have to type true or false. We're just going to use the value that game over is holding, which is a Boolean value. Right now it's set to false at the beginning of our game. The game's not over, it's still an active game. If our user guesses our number, then we're going to change that value to true. True, the game will be over. And that will replace this value for disabling our input with true at that point. Go ahead and tap behind line 60, behind the parentheses, and let's tap twice to leave a blank line in there. In our next part of our number guess app project, we'll start setting up a function, check guess, that will use some conditional code to go through and check the user's guess, the user's input, to make sure that it's a valid number, to see if it matches our secret number, to see if it's maybe too low or if it's too high, and to give the user some feedback in each of those cases.